I've really got to change my name here. I don't know why I keep saying Christopher. It's so official.
I like it.
Well, let's keep it on there then. How's it going, man?
Good, man. How are you? I appreciate you taking a couple of minutes to do this.
Oh, man, absolutely. Glad to talk to you.
I will say this before we start. You and I did an Instagram live back, I think, like at the end of 2020, and I watched it back, and you have aged tremendously, and I look terrible. The
Oh,
last
dude.
4 years have been, I mean, it's been rough on me, apparently.
I appreciate it. It's amazing what beard dye will do. You know,
Well, I want to talk.
appreciate that.
Yeah, I want to talk about the tour and everything coming up. But first things first, 2024 was really a banner year for Daughtry. How did it feel to get the word that Daughtry was the top mainstream rock airplay band in 2024? Well, especially considering, when Daughtry was sort of not crossing over, but when you were trying to get played at rock radio to start, it wasn't a sure thing.
No, it wasn't an easy feat. I thought it was a joke at first. When my manager sent it over, I couldn't believe that we were number one, much less ahead of Green Day. And it was surreal. It's still surreal to hear you say it. That wasn't something that I thought was going to be even possible. So it was never even on my radar. Even with two back-to-back number ones, it's still shocking to hear that out loud. And I have to kind of remind myself like how great last year was, because when you're in the thick of it and you're just out doing the work and you're performing every night, and you're kind of detached from all the stats. And so man, it was an incredible feeling seeing that and knowing that it was real. So I'm super grateful, man. I'm super grateful that rock has embraced us the way they have, and I couldn't be happier.
You mentioned the two number one singles, Artificial and Pieces. You can't get to that top spot without having a couple of number ones. But after first appearing on the chart, nearly 2 decades ago, 17 years ago is when you first popped up on there. What was it like to not have one, but 2 songs go number one in the same year?
Incredible. I feel like that one right there was meant the most to me, just because I feel like it was this validation that I'm doing the right thing, and that all of my gut instincts were paying off, and that this shift in direction that I've desperately wanted for years was the right move. And it was the first time that I was so adamant about a song, and I didn't have a label telling me that I couldn't. And I didn't have any pushback. I didn't have anyone going, well, I don't know if you can get away with that. Like, other bands can do that, but not you. I didn't have any of that. And I kind of feared that maybe radio or some of the fan base would feel that way. But the fact that it did what it did was kind of like, I'm onto something here. This is working.
And now you have the chance to have a third straight number one with The Dam, which is the final track on the Shock the System Part 1 EP. And you described that EP last year as a documentation of your catharsis when you're dealing with certain emotions. How much can that sort of stuff, just getting things out there, getting things off your chest, out of your brain, how much can that help you, so to speak?
Well, I think just by nature of saying these things out loud, you're essentially bringing light to darkness just by getting it out. And for me, there was a lot of things that on this EP that maybe in the past I would have been afraid to say. And I think even in some capacity, kind of nervous to say it now. But I think that was when I knew it was right. I was like, okay, I'm not treading on, I'm not kind of regurgitating anything I've ever said before. This is this is real to me. This is fresh. This feels kind of scary to say out loud. And maybe that's because I'm supposed to. And I've just heard so much incredible feedback from our fans. Like, oh my God, I feel like you're talking about me. I know exactly what you're going through, or I feel like you know exactly what I'm going through. And thank you for writing this. Thank you for saying this. And it was all for me. I'm writing this for me because I had to get these things out. And when someone else can see that and latch onto it and find their own meaning and their own truth in that, it's a pretty special thing.
How important was it for you to have that freedom? You talked about not having people chirping in your ear and telling you can't do this, you can't do that, maybe that won't work. How awesome was it to have the freedom to be able to say these things that, like you said, maybe in the past you wouldn't have?
It's the best. I mean, and I think every artist deserves to feel that level of freedom and autonomy in creating their art, because if you're not creating it for yourself, and it took me a long time to figure this out. It took me a long time to realize that I was placating to maybe the wrong people, and maybe listening to the wrong people, and not listening to myself enough. And once I started feeling that freedom and all these, ideas or other people's opinions of who we are or what they expected from all that, when I shed all that and I listened to myself, and none of it mattered. It wasn't about a chart position. It wasn't about a hit. It was just what is real to me, and let's write that. And that was something I had never really experienced on any of my albums previously. So other than Dearly Beloved, which I did independently, and that was kind of, even still, me kind of going, can I get away with this? I don't know, what people are expecting, or maybe we can't really do this because we're going to push people away, but we can still turn the guitars up. But and I kind of just shed all that and was like, man, I got to do what I love. I got to do what kind of gets me excited. And that's a long way to say it felt incredible.
I imagine, you obviously have the freedom in the writing, but also when it comes to like the music videos, because now you get to sort of let your nerddom shine, because you have these like epic sci-fi videos, whether it's artificial, or now you have the video for The Damned is, it's Mad Max-esque, it's Dune-esque. Yeah. You get that chance to sort of do that sort of stuff too.
Those were the two films that I was, drawing inspiration from. I knew two things going into this video. I was like, it has to be in the desert, and I have to have war paint. Like that's my. I don't know what the story is going to be. I just know I need war paint, and I don't know how we're going to make sense of that. And I still don't know if we made sense of it. But I was so, and I had, I drew this. I had this picture of me, and I was drawing the design on and submitting it to my director. I was like, I don't know what to make of this, but I need to look like this. And so we kind of kept going back and forth on the concept, and he sent me a draft that I was really stoked on. And when I got to the end, I was like, oh, perfect, I die. That seems to be the common thread in all of these videos. And he's like, well, no, I got other options. I no, this is perfect. I want to die. Like, I feel like it's necessary. And I think it's symbolic to my old self, and shed it. All three of these videos have been symbolic in a way of kind of dying to my old self, shedding that skin. And I just thought it was super cool that it ended up looking like, a superhero film. And, Marvel and DC aren't calling me yet. So I was like, we got to make our own movies here. And there was a little low key thinking behind the scenes going, maybe James Gunn or Kevin Feige will see this and be like, oh, we got to get him. They haven't done it yet, but we'll see.
Listen, man, James Gunn, it's still early. There's still time. It's not, I mean, he's just
He
getting
has
the Superman thing going now. You're good.
he has so much to build that there is still a chance. There's still
There's
a
a part
chance.
for you in there somewhere. I promise you that.
I mean, at least something. How hard is it to kill me? Like we've already proven I'm good at that. Let's do it.
You mentioned the war paint. You mentioned shedding skin. Obviously, people see you in the video with the war paint, and then all of a sudden they see you on stage, and you've gone ahead and you've taken the damn music video, what you had there, and you've become sort of that person. Is it something, when you get the war paint on the first time, do you go, this is me, this looks right?
Long story short, absolutely. I couldn't unsee it. It was 3 days in the desert. It could have been the heat cooking my brain. It could have been a number of things, but I remember, just thinking like, man, this looks so cool and so powerful. And, it felt like this somewhat of a, suit of armor in a weird way. And I was never really, I guess I always kind of had tattoo envy, thinking, I follow all these accounts and I'm like, man, I wish I had some sort of concept going into this where it all flowed and all, like, I wish I could redo it. I wish I could go back in time and do stuff that is more relevant to me now. And I always hated having my name across my back. And when I saw I'd never thought of blackout ever. Like I just never crossed my mind that would be something I was into. And when I saw it, I was like thinking, this might be the answer to all of it. It's a fresh start. It's a clean slate, so to speak. And after doing that for 3 days, I couldn't unsee it. And I remember walking out of my makeup trailer the first day where it was all done. And I was already kind of thinking it, but within like 10 minutes, 3 people, unbeknownst to each other, all said, man, that'd be a cool tattoo. Man, that'd be a cool tattoo. Man, that'd be a cool tattoo. And it was like this, that was 3. That was confirmations right there. And I kind of kept it to myself and I couldn't stop thinking about it. And long story short, my flight home, I'm like looking up blackout artists and I find Rocks and hit her up. I was like, I got this idea. I had the appointments booked before I even got home. And then I had to talk to my wife and be like, we need to talk. And she was like, oh shit, what did you do? I was like, nothing. It's about what I'm about to do.
Yeah, nothing yet. We're good.
Nothing yet. We're still good. But yeah, that was kind of the impetus of it.
Well, people will have the chance to see him live this year. You've got a couple of big tours, man. You're going out with Disturbed again. You get to open up their 25th anniversary tour, which is nuts. And then you get to go out with Creed again, which is, 2 pretty coveted spots to be spending 2025 out on the road on.
I feel very lucky, man. I feel we are in exactly where I wanted us to be, and I couldn't be happier that it's actually happening. I had a dream that we were on tour with Disturbed about a year or so ago, and I was on stage singing with David. So I texted him. I was like, dude, this might be weird, but I had a dream we were on tour together and we were singing this song. I don't even know what it was, but maybe we wrote it. I don't know. And his reply, I have to, anytime I read his text back, I hear him speaking. And he said something to the effect of, well, both of those are possibilities, my friend.
A really good impression. Really
so I manifested that tour. It is a dream tour. And of course, even cooler that Nothing More is on it. And but I am slightly terrified that we have to follow Nothing More.
Yeah.
So
They're really good.
they're very much a force to be reckoned with on stage.
Yeah, well, we are excited. We got Shock the System Part 2. I know you're recording that. We've got the tours coming up. You mentioned real quick, last time we did one of these, we talked a lot of comic book stuff. You mentioned James Gunn earlier, just because I know you're a huge fan.
Yeah.
Does James Gunn fix the DC cinematic universe, whatever they call it? Does he get this right?
Hey, man, I am optimist. I'm cautiously optimistic, but I am optimistic. I was pleasantly surprised at how much I didn't hate the Superman trailer. Man of Steel to me is a masterpiece. I still think that's going to be hard to top, but I am open to see what he does. And I loved Creature Commandos. I thought that was awesome. I love what he's doing with that. So yeah, I think he at least seems to have a plan. I'm interested to see how that all plays out. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what I hope for his sake and all the fans. I hope it works, because if it doesn't, he's already pretty much said that everything hinges on the success of Superman, which is, pretty scary to think of, because he's got a lot that's kind of stacked up right now that could fall apart if it doesn't happen.
Well, I'm excited to see that too, and excited to see you out on the road. A couple of chances with Creed and Disturbed, and looking forward to talking again here soon, man. I appreciate
Absolutely.
you taking the time and hanging out here for a bit.
Appreciate you, Matt, man. Good to talk to you.
All right, man. I'll see you, Chris.
All right, later.